you want to ask a question now, if you just raise your hand, we'll try and get as many questions in as we can. I would ask that you withhold any comment for the comment period. Just limit this strictly to questions so we can get as many in before we have to break. So, yes, sir, in the back.
Yes, Jerry. Dan, in this meeting and previous meetings, used the word silo many times. Could you explain, just so that we're all sure we all understand what you mean?
Sure.
Just what it is you mean by silo.
Sure. Silos are a metaphor for things happening in one area without knowledge of what's happening in another. And that's the way a lot of agencies sort of evolve over time, where they sort of do their own little thing, separate and apart from other agencies, rather than working together. And this is something that's sort of a consequence of any organization that's large enough and around long enough where they develop these silos. It can happen in business too, where different departments don't really work in tandem with each other. So that's simply what silos mean. By breaking down the silos, that improves the communication and theoretically improves the efficiency. Yes, sir?
In the state of New Jersey, the state policy has driven the state of New Jersey to the 50th most business-friendly state in the country. My question to you is, knowing the state government has done that, how can we trust the state government to do what's right for the people?
You know, that's absolutely an unbelievably good question, and that really rings a lot of bells. Governor Christie came in here. Let me just answer, okay? Governor Christie came into office promising this sort of change. His whole administration is based on this sort of change. And change is one of those words that's been worn out over the last few elections, if you know what I mean.
But wait a second, the legislature hasn't changed.
I know.
It can't do it all by itself.
Exactly.
Exactly, so nothing's going to change.
No, nothing. It won't change as quickly and as broadly as we would like. I'm with you on that one. But the governor is great at reaching across the aisle and brokering deals. We have a 2% property cap that never would have happened in anybody's wildest imaginations. Also, the increased pension and health benefits contributions. All of these things happen as a minority governor. So you're right, it would move much quicker if things were a little bit different there. But he is making good progress, and he's one governor who can make this work. And he has assured both Dan and I, face to face, that he would support this program and make it work for economic development. Yes, ma'am. Wait, Judy.
Hi, nice to see you. There was a phrase that you used that made me a little nervous when I was reading the presentation.
Only one?
Well, not. This is the one that made me the most nervous. The phrase you said is, we are not looking to be heavy-handed with regulation.
Right.
And then you said we can instead use fiscal and revenue and blah, 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 some other kind of tools. I thought you said fiscal, revenue, and political tools. The whole thing made me nervous. I feel that in New Jersey we have to be really careful about regulation if we want to protect our natural resources, our air quality, our water quality, etc. So what does that mean we are not going to be heavy-handed with regulation?
Well, speaking in relation to the plan, we don't want this plan to be a heavy-handed plan, which typically, and I'm a small-town mayor, so I worked on this with a view from not being want to be told what to do from the state level. So we wanted this to be something that municipalities could participate in if they so choose, or not participate in. We wanted to respect home rule and leave the local decisions at the local level. We feel those sort of land use decisions are best served at the local level, where citizens are appointed to their local zoning boards and local planning boards and elected office. So that's really what we mean by not having a heavy hand. We want to work with everybody, really have everybody on the same page, but every town in the state is different. This is like 566 snowflakes in these towns. Everyone is different. And you have to respect that. Some towns want a lot of development. I tell this story all the time. We met with a bunch of mayors and local officials, see what they would want to see out of the state plan and how can we help. We had one mayor, a friend of mine from a town in Monmouth County, said, listen, we don't want centers, we don't want sewers, we don't want sidewalks, we want to be left alone. We're a horse community and we want to remain that way. The other side of the table is another guy saying, we want all the development over here, we want to develop. So that's the sort of diversity of opinion on their development destiny that we're trying to respect and protect. And that's what we mean by not having a heavy hand, by forcing something down from Trenton and leaving these sort of decisions at the local level.
What about regulation on industry? Where does that come into play in the state plan?
Well, regulation.
Air pollution laws being stricter in New Jersey than they are in other states, for instance.
Well, each agency has their own regulations. What Dan mentioned before with breaking down the silos and trying to eliminate the restrictive regulations or the conflicting ones is really the ones that are most bothersome to industry. Don't forget, we spoke to a lot of industry folks, a lot of businesses who come to New Jersey, and they say, the regulations are killing us. You can't operate a business in here. So one of the things that the lieutenant governor and the governor want to do is identify the regulations. So if you go to DEP, you don't get one story and go to DOT and get another story in DCA. Like everybody in the room here, DCA and Department of Ag and so on. So we're trying to identify them and eliminate those regulations so businesses, number one, have predictability. They know they don't want to spend $300,000 or $400,000 on a lot of consultant studies and everything, get tired of the regulations where they end up throwing up their hands and saying, we're out of here, we'll go to Texas or we'll go to Pennsylvania. So that's what we mean by the regulations. And it's smart. I mean, to undo the tangle. And Judy, they are legion. You see the number of regulations in the state. The lieutenant governor has made a tremendous stride with the Red Tape Commission, where they're going to undo a lot of these regulations already. But this is really going to help bring everybody to the table, identify them, and settle them. I just want to go on to different questions. We're sort of limited, okay? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What exactly is the steering committee, or better yet, who's going to be on it, and what law authorizes such a committee?
Well, the steering committee is something that's going to be chaired by the lieutenant governor, and on the steering committee are going to be representatives from various agencies within state government. And what they're going to do, they're going to get together and they're going to be able to identify the regulations that I was just speaking about. That's where the rubber's going to meet the road as far as undoing these sort of regulations, getting everybody's action plans together, the action plans that are really going to make this plan work within the agency levels. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, which I actually asked of the Red Tape Commission and presented at the time they were having a public hearing. I'm still not finding it addressed in what I'm reading in the state plan.
Okay, I'll try and answer, but it's a red tape.
How do you plan to protect our water supply watersheds, especially when the watersheds are more than one town? You cannot always guarantee that there has to be something above just the municipal level if you really want to protect your drinking water in the state.
Well, I mean, DEP and their regulations are still going to be in effect, certainly. What we don't want are duplicate or conflicting regulations. So when we talk about regulations, it's just operating smarter, not necessarily recklessly or more heavy-handed, but somewhere where you can align them where they don't fight each other. So that's still going to be in effect, and that's where the protection is going to come. Yes, sir.
Could you explain a little bit about the timing of the Commission's action after the comment period ends, and what you expect to happen with the draft plan in terms of its implementation after that?
Sure. There's a 30-day period after Thursday's meeting, which is March 1st, March 31st, when you can submit written comments. So legally, we have to, give 30 days. We're going to work on revising the draft that's up there now, and then we're going to post a red line version with any changes or additions or revisions to it. And then the SPC will consider that draft, the revised draft, in probably April, because we have to have, statutorily, we have to have this done 60 days from the last meeting, the last public hearing. So that's sort of the timeline. On the State of New Jersey website, in the Department of State, right where the draft is right now. How about somebody in the back? Yes, yeah. No, all the way in the back, yep.
Yes, hi. You're mayor, I think, of our neighboring Homedale. And I think you're probably aware of what's going on in Homedale as far as the sewer service extension permits.
Yes.
And the original state plan had designated planning areas, environmentally sensitive areas, especially to watersheds, that I think the other young lady spoke to.
Right.
And what I'm concerned with is, if there's such a fight for economic recovery in this town and in this state, what will happen to the supplies, as this woman mentioned, about our watersheds,
right,
and the extension of sewer service areas into those watersheds, which are supposed to be basically made as rural and collecting water instead of dispersing water to the oceans?
Well, keep in mind, all of those planning areas that exist now under the old plan, they'll be translated into priority growth areas or priority preservation areas. So it's not like it's going to be open season on one or the other, you know, that will be translated into the new system.
Okay, just to follow up on that,
Uh-huh.
you spoke about conflicts and trying to be consistent.
Right.
And as far as I can see, Manasquan, you're taking sewer service areas out of that watershed, but the DEP is trying to extend them into the Homedale watershed,
Right.
which does not make sense. There's an inconsistency there.
We're getting into sort of specifics. You know, if we can keep it general to the plan.
Well,
I mean, those are
that's
sort
what I'm
of-
saying. Watersheds should have certain specifications on the extensions of growth, and sewer service areas are the stimulus for growth.
Right. And the DEP regs will still be in effect. So this plan is not going to undo a department like that. So that'll still be governing those sort of decisions. Yes, sir.
Reading through this plan, I'm just wondering why there wasn't more emphasis placed on making private property rights, because I didn't read much about it at all in this plan, making people's private property rights. And I'm reading through the list of goals here, and I would think that should fall pretty high on the list, you know, because people are nervous. I know I'm nervous about this plan.
Sure, I understand that. We've heard it, believe me. And this is why this is a draft. We're going to take all of these, and if there maybe it could be a simple fix, simply adding language or clarifying language to that effect.
I'd like to see a lot more language than the current property.
That's fine, and if you want, you know, during the comment period, you know, make the comment. If you have suggestions, we're there. We really want to make this as good a product as possible, and work with everybody here. And there's a diversity of opinion, like there's diversity of towns I was talking about. Wait till you hear the comments. It's going to be all over the map, and that's healthy. That's what we want to hear. Yes, sir.
Last meeting that you had, and you this one, you've gotten a lot of comments, a lot of questions for this past meeting. Are you making any changes to this plan to go to those comments and questions?
Well,
Or
what
are
would...
you just taking comments and questions on plans that we passed as it is?
No. In fact, as I said, you're going to be able to see a draft with those changes in there.
Okay.
And it wouldn't be fair to make the changes now until we have all the hearings.
I'm just concerned that you're gonna make some changes.
Yeah.
Because the citizenry are asking for changes.
Sure. And you have to understand, you know...
I understand we're not stakeholders, but we don't even know who the stakeholders are.
I answered your question, I think, right, that we are? Yeah. Okay. Somebody different? Young lady in the burgundy.
I came all the way from Ocean County. We have a beautiful college there that I'm sure the people from Ocean County would love to hear about the plan. I know you have to only have 6, but Ocean County is a very large county. You say it's going to affect every town in the whole state. Why wouldn't we be able to have a hearing in Ocean County? We have standing room only here.
Right.
A lot of people came here from that county to hear this, and I'm sure a lot of them couldn't make it this far. We came like 40 miles or so in this weather. I mean, not this weather, but this time of year. And
More than 60 degrees.
yeah,
So-
here, and it's just a little bit inconvenient for everybody.
Yeah, I understand, and that's the administration has decided to go with the 6. Yes, sir.
I wonder
Yes.
who has the approval of this whole plan?
The State Planning Commission. They will vote on the final version.
Not the legislature?
No, the
Why
SBC.
not?
And who elected?
Well, that's the way the law is.
Well, who elected these people?
Well, they were appointed by the administration or prior administration, one at a time, please. This is the way the law was written in 1985, so this is what the administration inherited. So we have to follow the law, the statute says this. So, yes, sir. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Hi. I had a question. I'm not sure if it was covered, but as a policy plan, there's been a lot of talk about consolidation and shared services.
Right.
Does this dovetail with that concept?
Well, I mean, broadly, I guess, yes, it's something that we would like to see. That's a little bit different animal because that's a lot of legislative things. Now there was a bill, S2, that was just passed about consolidation, and it's a good first step. Now I'm talking like a mayor, you know, doesn't go far enough because there's a lot of impediments to shared services. But it's a good step in the right direction. So that's the sort of thing. I like the idea of shared services and consolidation voluntarily. I don't like, you know, towns being forced to do it. I think it's wise to let them, you know, do it when it makes sense to them and it makes sense to the residents. So, but I mean, that's again just being. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Who makes up this state planning commission? Who are these people?
Who are these people? It's a mix of public members and also cabinet members. members. Public meaning folks from around the state. You know, they're chosen by, they usually send in a letter of interest, and they're reviewed, and they go before the Senate for confirmation, and they're voted on, and they're put on the commission. So.
Are they from special interest groups, or are they?
No.
Taxpayers?
They're taxpayers. They're regular guys.
Are there any requirements that go along with the choosing? They should be property owners, they should be, residents of the state.
Yeah, you can't be more than 10 years.
Some business.
I mean, the requirements are typical. You get a qualification, a resident of New Jersey and all that. But the members are listed in the plan. And, yeah, so there is a mix of...
Representing the property owners, private property owners here? Anybody specifically representing the property owners?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're public members. They're representing, the residents of the state. So, the way...
They're representing the people of the state.
The way...
Transportation, I see, environment, I see, I understand that it says, that we're being represented, and I really think being that we all are the majority of the people in the state, we've already asked to be stakeholders, nobody asked us to have an input in this plan prior to it being planned, right?
But that answers your question about the SPC. That's how it's done. Okay. I'll answer it again. The SPC is chosen by the administration at the time, and they're chosen, they send a letter of interest, and they go before the Senate for confirmation. So the governor is in office now. So he would take this and send it to the appointment folks. And you know how the governor has been doing with his appointments. There's sort of a conga line, there's 300 folks going to be confirmed. So that's the way it goes. The governor chooses people to serve on this commission, and they go before the Senate for confirmation. If the Senate confirms them, then they become sitting members.
Is there one simple thing to that? Is the balance of the Senate also have an effect on, who gets accepted and who doesn't?
Well, it could. I mean, unfortunately, that's why there's a bit of a backlog there, and that's the reality. Yes, sir, in the back.
Within the body of the plan, there's a mention of using incentives to gain cooperation from the municipalities.
Right.
We've also talked about green energy, supporting green energy industry. This usually involves some sort of incentives, tax breaks, increasing the public or protected lands, involves the cost of maintaining those properties, and remediation of costs to the municipalities, which I believe Dan addressed earlier. New Jersey is blessed with being 3 years in a row the state with the highest per capita tax burden. My question is, how are these costs and the other costs, which I'm sure we have not even touched on here, going to be addressed without the taxpayer in New Jersey being additionally burdened to pay these costs?
Right. There's not going to be any additional taxes to implement this plan. We're going to do it. Please let me answer, okay? We're going to do this with existing funds now. That's another thing that all of the agencies are going to have to do, is identify, because all of these agencies like DOT and DEP have to do their part for the infrastructure. And that's existing money. It's not going to be any additional. Yes, we'll take one more and two more, okay? Shelley.
Okay, looking at the resolution for the number of meetings, public input meetings, that resolution says that there shall be at least 6. It does not say 6 and only 6. Now, it's referred to someone anonymously in the administration having decided only 6. Who was that?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, can we find, because that is against the resolution. Unless it's Governor Christie or Lieutenant Governor Guadagni, they don't have the authority to override that. And we would like to have one per county. I think every one of these meetings I've been at, everyone has said there are not enough meetings. We want more input. And as you just said, there's 60 days until you produce this other plan. Why are we limiting our input? Why have we left out all these thousands and thousands of people that live in millions of people live in New Jersey?
Shelley, I will pass it along. It's from existing budgets that already exist.
Bills first.
And the second question?
My second question is, I'm flabbergasted, as many people in this room are, that there was no public notice of this. If there was, it was probably done in a way where most of the people who live in the state of New Jersey were unaware. Let me finish.
Okay.
Secondly, is there any place for anyone who could not make these 6 very limited meetings, read any of the meetings, of the minutes of the meetings, see any video?
We are not taping it. We don't have video.
Minutes. Every meeting should have minutes. Where can we read meeting minutes from all these meetings that transpired?
Well, we don't have the minutes posted. There's no action taken at these meetings, so.
Why not?
Because we're not taking any action here. We're here just for comment. The way the meetings is, hold on, folks. The way the meetings are structured by law is that these are public comment meetings where we sit here and we take your comment. There's no voting, there's no action, there's no quorum.
But this is changing everything that's happening in New Jersey. So New Jersey residents should be aware of what's going on.
Absolutely.
And if you're limiting these meetings and you're keeping it very quiet, how are we supposed to have an input?
Well, I wouldn't say we're keeping it quiet. We're following the law as far as notification. We've noticed it 30 days in advance. I know the statute off the top of it. You know the State Planning Act? But, yeah, the state.
What statute?
I'll give you the reference in the in-between time. I'm not a physician. I don't know.
Because it seems
I
to
will
me that
do
the
these
way that
next
this
month.
is all transpiring is very against our rights.
Okay, listen, folks, let's take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll open the floor up for the public hearing. We're a few minutes after 7, okay? Thank you.